The public has no right to swim in the sea, claims a firm that dumped sewage in bathing spot. No, I am not joking. This is an exclusive from iNews, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from iNews with the headline that the public has no right to swim in the sea, claims a firm that dumped sewage at a bathing spot. As South West Water defends a court action from a Devon swimmer, it also claims it has no legal duty to keep the waters clean. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So when I first saw this headline, I was absolutely seething with rage, and if you're not seething with rage, I honestly don't know what's wrong with you, because this water company that dumps sewage in this bathing spot and is responsible for this damage and are telling people, no, you can't swim in it because we're dumping sewage here, and that the fact that there is no legal obligation for them to clean it up could not be more infurious, could not be more angry, it could not be more frustrating than this. I mean, it just screams of they are literally pointing the middle finger at you. That is literally what they are doing, saying, screw you, we're going to do whatever we want. That's literally what this is, what this headline is. Now, could this be an exaggeration from exclusive from iNews? It's entirely possible, and what we're about to read into. And it could all entirely be true, this story. But my God, if it is true, how sickening is this? And I just think to myself, we don't have a government that cares, that won't do anything about this. Now, I'm still hopeful, I'm optimistic that Labour will take some kind of action, and I think they will take some kind of action, not just because that they will be under pressure from the public, but I also think that they will do it in the best interest of from not just from the public, but I think other political parties will be pressuring them too. I do think Lib Dems, Greens, and maybe even Reform might be saying that. I don't know Reform's position on this, but I'm sure Lib Dems and Greens will apply the pressure as well to ensure that something is done on these water companies, because something does need to be done when it comes to the sewage issue. But them dumping the sewage, telling people you can't swim in it, which on that point, which is obviously you don't want them getting sick and dying from what they're causing, but then they're saying that they have no responsibility to clean it up. It's just, how dare you? How dare you? So, South West Water is claiming it has no legal obligation to keep the rivers and seawaters clean of sewage in its defence against a Devon swimmer who is taking the water company to court. Ms Bateman, who attempts to swim every day off the coast of Exmouth, is taking legal action against South West Water, claiming its frequent sewage discharges into the sea have taken away her legal right to a public amenity. However, in its defence to Ms Bateman's claims seen by the eye, the water firm states no one has a legal right to swim in the sea. Is that true? Comments in the section down below. Is this true? Is this true that no one has a legal right to swim in the sea? Generally want to know. Despite owning the sewage network in Devon and Cornwall, South West Water also claims it has no legal responsibility to keep rivers and seas in the country clean and clear of sewage. Water companies are, however, subject to regulation enforced by the government and environmental agency EA. Now this infuriates me. I'm going to read it again one more time just so you understand this. So, despite owning the sewage network in Devon and Cornwall, South West Water also claimed it has no legal responsibility to keep the rivers and seas in the countries clean and clear of sewage. Wow. Like, that really is taking the PISS there, isn't it? The company said Mr. Bateman's claim has no basis in law and requests that the case be struck out and instead go to mediation. Ms Bateman told the Eye, "There is no chance I will go to mediation just to hear the public relations gulf about how well they're doing to improve the sewage network. I want to see them in court, and that's what I will do." On Thursday, figures from the EA showed that South West Water is one of the UK's biggest polluters and was responsible for 3 of the 10 worst pollution spots across England in 2023. This week, the Eye reveals that the EA was investigating all South West Water sewage overflows since December. Water companies are only permitted to discharge sewage into the river if they advance weather conditions and cause storm overflow, and to do so in moderate weather conditions to be considered illegal. In its defence against Ms Bateman's claim that she had lost an amnesty that she is entitled to, South West Water states, "The law does not recognise such rights, nor does the law impose a duty on South West Water. For while swimming outside the bathing season, there is no legal duty to achieve a certain quality water standard," the firm said. This is them basically saying F off, is basically what they're saying. It's added that even during the peak summer holiday season, South West Water and other firms have no duty to meet certain water quality standards. I'm not quite sure how to respond to this. The defence states even during the bathing season, there is absolutely no right to swim each day. South West Water said it's responsible of the government and the EA to ensure clean water, not the water companies that manage the nation's rivers and coastlines. Neither the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Welfare nor the EA would comment on South West Water's claim. Wow! So what they're saying is true here from South West Water. They're saying, well, you know, it's not really, if the government says there's something, we're not doing. While rejecting Ms Bateman's claim, South West Water acknowledges her understanding concerns about the environment, adding, "It is a concern shared by many of South West Water's customers and by South West Water itself." The firm has said it's investing record amount to reduce the use of permitted storm overflows across the region, including $38 million earmarked for Exmouth up to 2030. Ms Bateman, who's claimed compensation of £379,000, has submitted an action to the small claim court, alleging illegal sewage spills have affected both her physical and mental well-being. She has detailed 54 instances where she believed the water company illegally dumped sewage into the sea during 2023. Ms Bateman is claiming the company's pollution of the Exmouth coast has led to what is known as a loss of amnesty, which means she must prove that she has been injured. Ms Bateman added their defence is 16 pages of golf. They say things like, "I don't have a legal right to swim in the sea," which of course is absolute rubbish. It is widely documented that you have a right to go in what you are described as tidal and navigational waters, which obviously includes Exmouth Beach and even the River Ells. Who owns the UK seas? That's a question. When it comes to who owns the UK's beaches and seas, it may not surprise many that King Charles III features heavily. Come on, do the Crown nearly need to own it? The Crown Estate, the monarch's land and property company, controls about 45% of the foreshores, the parts of the shore of the beach that is wet due to the various tides and wave run-up under normal conditions in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The remaining beaches are in a variety of hands, from the National Trust, yay, and the Ministry of Defence, to local authorities and private individuals. God bless the National Trust. As for the sea itself, we turn again to the King. The Crown Estate owns the territorial seabed out of 12 nautical miles, and for example, if you fancy harvesting some seaweed from any form of monastery and other rewards, you will be required a licence from the Crown. Many clean water companies dispute South West Water's claims. The Outdoor Swimming Society believes there is a right to swim in tidal and navigational waters. The coastline in Exmouth is both tidal and navigational. He states there is a public right of navigation on all rivers and coastlines can be navigated by any non-powered boat, and therefore a right to swim. Kate Root, co-founder of the society, added, "As human beings, we have the same rights to clean water as we do clean air." Daniel Stewart, the author of Wild Swimming, said, "Everyone is legally entitled to swim in the seas or tidal waters." George Crawford, co-founder of End Sewage Convoys and Pollution Exmouth, criticised South West Water's response to Ms Bateman's claims. "I believe that the company has both a legal and moral obligation not to pollute, but to minimise pollution and the use of emergency overflows to a minimum, and to treat sewage as they are contractually obliged to do, not to discharge, overflow or dump it in our rivers, seas and wildlife sanctuaries." They seem to have and even speak with our utter contempt for anything other than maximum profit. However, solicitors familiar with the swimming rights suggest that the law is not as clear as campaigners suggest. Nathan Wilmot, a partner of law firm Ashford, said the statutory regime governing water companies has been held by the courts to cancel out certain common law rights that water users would use otherwise against water companies for allowing sewage discharges into water and making it unsafe to swim in. But he suggested that if South West Water were to be found guilty of breaching the regulation on when sewage can be spilled into the sea, then its immunity from prosecution may not apply. Interesting. South West Water declined to comment on the ongoing legal case. The regulator Ofwat was contacted for comment as well. There was no response from either of them. So the law on prosecuting water companies over sewage spills. The law on whether an individual can take legal action against sewage discharges appears to provide immunity to water companies even if they are abiding by the Environmental Agency regulations on spills. David Green, a senior partner for the law firm Edwin Co., refers to a 2022 Court of Appeal decision by the Manchester Ship Canal Company versus the Unite Utilities water case. In 2022, a Court of Appeal decision found claims against the water company that may have existed under common law were superseded by the Water Industrial Act 1991. It meant that if sewage discharges were due to an inadequate infrastructure, then the companies were not legally liable. Wow. The ruling agreed that Unite Utilities' regular discharge of untreated sewage into Manchester Ship Canal would, in common law, give rise to legitimate damage claims. It also undisputed that discharge untreated sewage was a breach of EA regulations. Mr. Green agrees that South West Water's claims that the regulatory regime is enforceable ultimately by the government. That doesn't give me much hope. However, Mr. Green added that the Court of Appeal's judgment left open by the possibility that common law claims could be valid for discharge caused not by policy or capital expenditure decision, but rather operational or current expenditure issues. Is it possible to sue the government then if it's not the water company's responsibility? Perhaps maybe it might be. Is it entirely possible? If anyone's a legal expert watching this, is it entirely possible to take the government to court on this rather than South West Water or water company? Then, if this is the case, if it is ultimately enforced by the government and not by the water companies. Whether the conceptual tenability of this distinction, obtaining evidence pointing to an operational decision leading to discharge is likely to be challenging, added Ms. Green. Nathan Wilmot, a partner at law firm Ashcott, shared Ms. Green's assessment. He added that while certain common law claims may persist, for example, where the reason for the sewage release is operational rather than infrastructural based, there is little incentive on the part of the water companies to prevent those releases of untreated sewage into rivers, and there is little to no risk of civil claims being pursued against them. It does feels like to me, based on this 1991 Water Industrial Act, that kind of supersedes any kind, gives the water companies a bit more free rein to get away with things, and that's what I fear that may or may not be happening. This is a very grey area of whether or not her court can win. I want it to win. I generally do want it to win because what they are doing is wrong. They are spilling more sewage than they need to, in my honest opinion, guys. I generally believe that they are spilling more than they need to, but she needs to provide the evidence that she has, and I generally hope that her case wins. I really, really hope it does, guys. But something tells me that perhaps it's not entirely Southwest Water on this, and it looks like they're kind of passing the buck to the government on this. And it is, at the end of the day, the government can do something about this, but at the same time, this is also a private company. The Southwest, they're also private companies. They're not public companies. They're private companies as well. There seems to be a lot of grey issues and not enough answers here with regards to this story, guys. And I really would like some more answers. I'm not sure if the Good Law Project are aware of this story, and it might be worth putting this to them perhaps as well. It might be worth sending this story to them to try and see if they can get a straightforward answer on this as well. What do you guys make of this story? What do you guys make of Ms. Bates' claims? Do you think there's a legal case for this? Whether it's a legal or not legal case behind this, is she perfectly right here to make this case? Is it right that Southwest Water dumps the sewage that it can do without any legalities whatsoever for it, especially when it needs to discharge water certain times? Let me know your thoughts about this, what your feelings are about it all. And maybe some of you have some legal expertise perhaps on this. Please share them with me and others in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.